Good evening and welcome to the first of three meetings tonight. My name is Dennis Buckley, Mayor of the City of Beech Grove, and at this time we will convene our Board of Sanitation for Tuesday, September the 2nd, 2014. In lieu of a roll call, I will ask each participant to introduce themselves, beginning on my right.
Ed Bell.
Dan McMillan, Clerk Treasurer.
Craig Wiley, City Attorney.
Sandy Seward.
Thank you, board members. You have been presented a printed copy of the previous meeting dated Monday, August the 18th, 2014. The floor is open for questions, comments, or corrections.
I have reviewed the minutes from the last meeting and I have no comments or corrections.
I have none.
If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll make said motion.
And I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye and the motion carries. Next order of business is approval of claims. Board, you have a docket of claims dated September the 2nd, 2014, wastewater claims in the amount of $86,593.77. The floor is open for questions or comments.
I have none.
I have none.
If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve the claims dated September the 2nd, 2014 for wastewater in the amount of $86,593.77.
I'll make said motion.
And I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I also vote aye and the motion carries. There is no unfinished business carried over from the previous meeting, and there is no new business to discuss this evening. Comments from board members?
I have none.
I have none.
If not, I will ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make said motion. I'll second.
The meeting is adjourned at 6:03 p.m. We will meet again on Monday, September the 15th, 2014, 6 p.m. in these chambers. Board of Works will convene in 10 minutes. Thank you. Good evening and welcome to the second of three meetings tonight. My name is Dennis Buckley, Mayor of the City of Beech Grove. And at this time, we will convene our Board of Public Works and Safety meeting for Tuesday, September the 2nd, 2014. In lieu of a roll call, I will ask each participant to introduce themselves, beginning on my far right.
Ed Bell.
Dan McMillan, Clerk Treasurer.
Craig Wiley, City Attorney.
Sandy Seward.
Thank you, board members. Before you this evening, you've been presented a printed copy of the minutes of the previous meeting dated Monday, August the 18th, 2014. Floor is open for questions, comments, or corrections.
I have reviewed the minutes and I have no comments or corrections.
I have none.
If there are none, I will ask for a motion to approve as presented.
I'll make said motion.
And I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I also vote aye and the motion carries. Thank you. Board, you've been presented a docket of claims in the amount of $738,632.48. Floor is open for questions or comments.
I have one question, please. On page 21, for public safety medical services for physicals, $16,241. Is that annual?
Under the annual physicals where public safety medical comes out to the department, and each member has the extensive physical, including the 12-lead treadmill testing and everything else.
Okay, thanks, Rob. I have no other questions.
If there are no other questions or comments, I'll ask for a motion to approve the docket of claims dated September the 2nd, 2014, corporate claims in the amount of $738,000. $632.48.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Thank you, Board. There is no unfinished business to carry over from the previous meeting. Under new business this evening, we have two items. The first item is bid opening for Cleveland Street. A little preface to that. We had advertised bids in the paper, and we had, for the reconstruction of Cleveland Street between Churchman and 13th Street, and we had four companies return bids by the deadline this morning at 9 o'clock. So at this time, I'll ask our board member Sandy Stewart to open the bids and read them aloud, please.
The first sealed bid is from Grady Brothers. The total bid amount, $213,993.50. Did you get that, Dan?
213,993.50.
Yes. And the next one from Reeve Riley. Total bid amount, $266,715. The third one is from Globe Asphalt and Paving. And the total bid amount is $223,138.10. And the fourth one is Midwest Paving. And the total bid amount, $188,688.
Okay, for those of you who are documenting this, Calumet, I Squared, and Milestone did not return bids. All right, Sandy, thank you very much.
Welcome.
Brian, could you come up and get those, please?
There you go.
Thanks again, Sandy. And what we'll do is, we will take these bids under advisement, and we will touch base with our DPW director, our engineer on the project, and the city attorney, and then we will award the bid at our next meeting, September the 15th at 6 o'clock. So thank you, everyone who put a bid in, and we look forward to doing this project here. Next item and last item is special parking permit, and I'll defer to the clerk for instruction.
This parking permit is for a handicap parking permit. After July the 1st, we charge $13 instead of the normal $25 for the fee. So that will be the price on it. He's got all the documentation that he needs as far as paperwork from his doctor and automobile registration and so forth. So from what I see here, there would be no problem with this. This is to go in at 60 North 7th Avenue.
All right. Thanks, Dan. The board members have questions or comments?
I do have a question. How often do we look at these for folks that might have moved or?
We just started. I can tell you the first of the year, we sent out to everybody.
Okay.
And some were irritated that we did, but that's the only way we know.
Keep track.
So as far as I'm concerned, every January, we will send out paperwork
Okay.
to make sure that the person is not deceased, has not moved, whatever.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Dan.
If there are no other questions or comments, I'll ask for a motion to approve the special parking permit.
I'll make said motion.
And I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I also vote aye, and the motion carries. That concludes new business this evening. If there are not, we'll move to comments for board members.
I have none.
I have none.
If not, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make said motion.
I'll second.
The meeting is adjourned at 6:18 PM. We will convene again on Monday, September the 15th at 6 PM in East Chambers. The city council meets at 7 this evening. Thank you. Good evening and welcome to the third and final meeting tonight. My name is Dennis Buckley, Mayor of the City of Beech Grove, and at this time we will convene our City Council meeting for Tuesday, September the 2nd, 2014. In lieu of a roll call, I will ask each participant to introduce themselves, beginning on my far right.
Dave Mobley, City Council at Large.
John Jennings, District 4.
Dave Harrison, District 5.
Dan McMillan, Clerk Treasurer.
Craig Wiley, City Attorney.
Ed Bell, District 2.
Mary Huser Stewart, District 1.
Kathy Coates, Council at Large.
Thank you, council. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. There are no special presentations this evening. Council members, you've been presented a copy of the previous meeting's minutes dated August the 4th. The floor is open for questions, comments, or corrections.
I have read and understand the Beech Grove Council meeting minutes for August 4th, 2014. I motion we accept as written.
I'll second it.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Public comments, Counselor?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. 3 minutes pursuant to ordinance. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. First is Don Stout. Can you please state your name, sir, and your address?
My name is Don Stout. I live at 105 Diplomat Court, apartment number 1, here in Beech Grove. I'm here to speak in reference to ordinance 12, the stop sign proposal on Main Street at Tyson Street. I think that is a very good idea to put the stop sign there. There's been multiple accidents down through there on that street, that stretch of road between 18th and 25th Street. And I myself have almost been hit by a car speeding down the road. I've almost had my car hit on numerous occasions. And when I visit relatives over there in that area, I have a hard time parking on the street because of all the speeding, cars going down the road. And when I go to back out of the driveway, I gotta watch very carefully not to get hit. And when I take my kids, especially when they were younger, I had to keep them back 10 feet or so away from the road to keep from potentially somebody getting hit or car coming up on the sidewalk.
All right,
Anybody have any questions for me, or?
Thank you.
all right, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Mr. Stout.
All right, Ed McDonald. State your address, sir.
Yes, sir. My name is Ed McDonald. I'm at 1005 Main Street. I simply wanted to thank the mayor and the council members today for putting up those trash signs, the litter signs. I was disappointed that they didn't have fines on them, though. I wanted to show you, I made a photo of what I've collected the last month and a half. If I may show you, this is from Main Street. I collect it every Sunday. I made a copy for everybody. I was going to make a poster, but
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, for putting up the signs.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald.
Seen you out there.
There is a problem, even in the park across the street, they put 3 trash cans there, but still people just throw stuff down. So I think a fine would be appropriate. I just asked if you consider that. I'll still keep picking up trash, because that's what I do. Even though I'm an attorney, but I pick up trash. But I just want you to consider that if you would. And that's all.
Was this one Sunday?
No, my lord. No, of course not. That would be horrible. It's about a little over a month and a half. About a couple bags
Still
per
pretty
Sunday.
good. No wonder Main Street looks so good.
Well, yeah, that's right. I mean, I keep it clean. I go from 19th, between 18th and 19th, I curve in front of not Sacred Heart, a Holy Name. I come back around the circle. I go all the way down to 4th Street. And then I stop after 4th because I'm exhausted. It takes me 2.5 hours. So, I mean, there is a problem there. I'm dedicated to fixing that problem, but I think fines would be appropriate. That's all. I want to thank the mayor for putting up the signs. I talked to him 3 months ago, and he's pretty prompt to putting up the signs. I want to thank him.
Well, it's Brad back there is responsible for it. So those folks did it, so thank them.
But they get the blame for no fines, then. $1,000
Man, I need
for
to talk to you after the meeting.
$1,000 for a hot cigarette in Indiana. All right.
No, I'm sure since you're the one picking this up, you're paying, is most of this occurring on a Saturday night? Is this a ongoing weekly?
I also pick up trash every night between 10th and 11th. I pick up a small bag of trash also. It's just a habit here.
So you can't specifically say this is a Saturday night,
No.
people staggering out of the bars on Main Street. This is a accumulation of a week's worth. That's not.
I would say that's fair.
Okay.
Because I go once a week, except between 10th and 11th, I go every night, because there's still a Walgreens bag of trash every night.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir. All right, Darlene Stout.
Hi, how are everybody? I am also
Say your
calling
address,
in.
please. I'm sorry.
My name is Darlene Stout, and I live at 2206 Main. I'm also here for the Ordinance 12, which is the stop sign at Main and Tyson. I've had several of my neighbors sign a petition in regards to helping to slow the traffic down in that area, help to protect our children and the safety of our property down through there. We feel that a stop sign is not going to solve the whole problem, but it's going to help the problem as far as the speeding, because people was going to have to make efforts to stop, and then they have to take back off. They won't have a momentum of from 17th to 25th of flying down Main Street. I know that Murray is one good example that put up a stop sign to help slow traffic down that stretch of road, because people would be flying through Murray to help protect their kids, and I think it's helped in that area to slow traffic down. Brenda Dant could not be here, but she wanted me to express her concerns about the speeding down Main Street and proposed that she thinks that a stop sign would be a good thing to have and to help us to be safe and protect the kids as they get on the school buses down through there. And you've got elderly people that's trying to get out of their back out of their driveway safely, and their reactions ain't as quick sometimes as some of ours. And so when they're speeding so fast, then they can't get out safely. And so I don't want to see any of my friends and families hurt in my neighborhood anymore. I mean, we've already had one tragedy of death there, and it was very upsetting. So I plead that you guys really strongly consider that and help us protect our children and our residents and that live in that community, as well as property. I mean, my neighbor just had a second car hit, so in 6 months. So that's all I need to say. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, April Stout.
Sorry, I had to get comfortable after school. I'm a teacher, so had to lose the work clothes. My name is April Stout, and I live at 55 North 3rd, but I grew up at 2206 Main Street. So I'm here for Ordinance 12, and in the time living there, there were 3 cars that ended up in my front yard because they were speeding down and lost control of the car, ended up in my front yard. Thank goodness there was nobody there. They would have been hurt very badly. And like my mom mentioned, in April, there was a guy that sped down Main Street, hit a parked car, our neighbor's car, flipped the car, and ended up dying. And in that accident, he actually hit 3 other cars. In that one across the street, the one he hit head on, and then there was another one across the street as well. And like she said, just about a month ago, the same house that got hit with the guy that was driving down got hit again, and their car got totaled again as well. So, and of course, being a school teacher, the buses are out so early in the morning. Hardly even daylight out. And I know that a lot of people can't see those kids standing on that corner because they want to play. And I know because we get calls of fights all the time and horsing around at bus stops. And so if those kids are horsing around and don't see that, and that car starts coming down that road too fast and loses control, they're not going to know to jump out of the way. So my biggest concern is the kids and making sure that they're safe when they're on that corner, and that my parents and all my neighbors that I grew up with are safe coming down that way. In the last 10 years, I'd say there's been at least 8-10 cars hit right there. So.
Thank you.
Thank you, April.
Janet White.
I'm Janet White, 2210 Main Street in Beech Grove. And I helped get that petition to get that ordinance for number 12 for the stop sign at Main and Tyson. And I know on ordinance 11, it's up at 7th and the street there, and you want a stop sign there. You mentioned there are children up there. Well, we have children down on Main Street too. And they walk, they run, they're on skateboards, they're on bicycles. They're going from their friend's house back to their house. They go down to the corner to the village pantry and get a soda. And that speeding cars are just speeding way too fast. We have to stop them. If they have the stop sign, they'll have to stop, and they'll be aware of what they're speeding, what their traffic allows. It's only 25 miles an hour, not 40 or 50 like they're going. And it would be very helpful to wake them up, and people wake up that be aware of what you're driving down there. They get flying, they don't even know what their speed is. They're thinking more about jumping in the pool when they get home. And that stop sign is going to say, hey, get back to pay attention to your driving. And, even the little children, we have children from grade school on up to high school trying to walk that street. And the little children even holler at the cars to slow down. And we've had cops sitting out there. They just sit there and watch the car speed. They won't do anything about it. We need that stop sign for our protection.
Ms. White, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anybody else who did not sign up that would like to speak?
All right, thank you, Counselor. We'll move on to committee reports. Youth Council. And welcome.
I'm Evan Smiley. I'm a senior.
Chase Andrews, I'm a sophomore.
We've had one meeting so far this school year, and we've come up with theme nights for all 4 of the varsity football games. This summer, myself and 3 others, we went to the IHSA Student Leadership Conference, and it's the largest leadership conference in the country. They had speakers there and different sessions to go to about student leadership and different things that we can do in the community, projects. Another thing we try to do is encourage people to go to all the sporting events that might not normally go. And we have a student tailgate set up for one of the home football games.
We started up, hold on, what is this?
These are school-wide
Yeah, these
things
are
going on.
school-wide things that are going on right now at our school. Our sports are doing very well, along with our student leadership team that we have. It's helping getting students involved, coming to our games. Football has been very successful so far this year, even at our away games. We've had high attendance. We are trying to get more students to come out to volleyball and soccer and other fall sports like that. Our band, also very good every year, making it to state. They're marching every Saturday in September, like the 6th, the 13th, 20th, and 27th. We have 117 juniors in ECA right now, so that's good for us. It'll help us in the future. And we have 54 of them in the top quartile for ECAs.
Right now, the football team is 1-1. The volleyball team is 4-4. The boys soccer team is 1-2, and the girls soccer team is 2-2. And we had a lot of students come out for the home football game as well as the away game, and we've had a lot more students come to the volleyball and soccer games so far this year.
Any questions for student council people?
Just comments. I'm very proud of you boys, young men, stepping up and getting involved with the Beech Grove school system. That's awesome, and I think the attendance seems to be going up, and that's kudos to you guys. It takes a lot of, that's being brave.
Do you know when homecoming is this year?
It's the 26th.
Of September?
Yeah.
John, you want to chime in? I know you're biting at the bit about volleyball. Come on, give it to me.
I'm constantly saying how great our student athletes are. These are 2 of your finer athletes that Beech Grove has to offer. They're also showing up at the council meetings. This is what I keep telling everybody to go see. This is our youth. What you read in the newspaper isn't always what you see every day. This is what I see every day. I see the fantastic youth of Beech Grove representing us in sporting events. So, in my closing comments, I'll once again tell you to go watch a Beech Grove sporting event. But 2 fine gentlemen right here, I know both of them well enough to put my name behind both of them. Good guys, I'm glad you're here. Thank you. Michelle will be here next meeting with you.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. The Greenscape Commission, RDC, Public Safety, and Compliance Division reports are printed for your review. I'll move to financial report.
Dear councilors, our State Board of Accounts audit began on Monday, July 28th, and they told me this past week that it's nearing completion. We always enjoy having them here, and we always learn from them. As a taxpayer, I view the State Board of Accounts as a great investment of taxpayer dollars. In addition to providing audits across the state, they also provide answers, information, and accounting manual to all cities and towns across the state of Indiana. The clerks and I all feel that it has been an honor and privilege to work with them. Tonight, we have on the agenda an additional appropriation for the Police Pension Fund. The Police Pension Fund derives its revenues primarily from INPRS. The fund has sufficient monies, but we fell short in appropriating enough in disbursements for the 2014 budget year. So even though the money is in the fund, it cannot be spent without approval from the council and the Department of Local Government and Finance, hence the additional appropriation request. The month of August, bond and lease payments included a trash truck lease payment in the amount of $38,237.64, which $2,721 was interest, and the remaining $35,516.64 went towards principal. We only have 6 payments left on this. We also made our monthly SRF loan payment of $11,348.29. Payments on this loan began in 2005, and we still have a remaining balance of approximately $1,034,000. Payments are scheduled to complete in the year 2025. We have been busy the month of August preparing the budget. Everything is on the gateway, and the budget advertisement appeared on August 22nd and August 29th. I also have passed out to the council budget packets, which include all the budget forms, salary ordinance, and budget ordinance. The 2015 budget will include an increase of approximately $817,000. The DLGF would not approve a budget that is not fully funded, and estimated revenues support the increase. With that being said, there will not be any excess revenue to allow funding any large expenditure that could arise, and that does tend to make me a little nervous. We have a small cushion, but I would like to see more, much more. Responsible restraint needs to be shown on all levels of government to ensure the city remains in good financial standing. The budget is a good budget, has some great improvements, including an increase in pay for full-time city employees. More will be announced at the public hearing for the 2015 budget schedule for Monday, September the 8th at 7 p.m. here in City Council chambers. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. The complete budget can be viewed on the website by using the following link, and it's listed on here. We have formed the 2014 Insurance Committee to review health insurance coverage for city employees. We have 2 new members this year, Dave Irwin and Dawn Whalen. They join Aaron Janetti of the Fire Department, James Bond from the Police Department, and Rodney Giffen from the DPW, as well as myself. We have had our first meeting, and we will be meeting again in the near future. The city website continues to be a success and is provided at no cost to the taxpayer. We continue to have wonderful volunteers that assist with updating and posting. Thank you, website volunteers. On the website, the homepage has information on city meetings that include links to agendas, minutes, ordinances, and more. There is also a link to view the complete 2015 budget and Beech Grove Public Library budget. Financial reports, city debt schedules, bank statements are all available on the city website at www.beechgrove.com. The bank balances are listed on here for the council people, and they're actually on the website also. As always, my door is open if you have any questions. Thank you.
Any questions for the clerk? If not, we'll move to unfinished business carried over from the previous meeting. General Ordinance Number 10, 2014 is up for third and final reading this evening. This time I will defer to the clerk to read it into the record, please.
General Ordinance Number 10, 2014 is an ordinance that amends Chapter 35 of the City of Beech Grove Code of Ordinances pursuant to fees charged by the City of Beech Grove's Board of Zoning Appeals. Whereas the City of Beech Grove utilizes its own Board of Zoning Appeals, and whereas the Board of Zoning Appeal hears requests concerning variances from normal use, and whereas the Board of Zoning Appeals has established fees for filing variances and should not depend on tax dollars for funding, and whereas it is desired that the Board of Zoning Appeals become self-sufficient by adjusting the fees for services rendered. Therefore, be it ordained that the Common Council, based on a recommendation from the Board of Zoning Appeals, desires to adjust the filing fees for the Board of Zoning Appeals. Therefore, be it further ordained that the Common Council desires to adjust the fees to the amounts listed below. Add section 35.067 filing fees. In order to compensate for the expense of conducting normal business as a Board of Zoning Appeals, the following fees shall be paid by the applicant at the time of filing. A, variance of use for a dwelling use, $150 plus $10 for each variance of development standards requested. Commercial and industrial use, $500 plus $50 for each variance of development standards requested. B, all other uses, $400 plus $50 for each variance of development standards requested. C, administrative fees, administrator's fees, $150, filing, processing, general review, advertising. Refunds, all variances and administrative fees are non-refundable. Now therefore be it ordained that the Common Council desires to amend the City of Beech Grove's Code of Ordinances concerning fees for the Board of Zoning Appeals. Now therefore be it further ordained that this ordinance only applies to Chapter 35 of the City of Beech Grove's Code of Ordinances. Now therefore be it further ordained that this ordinance shall go into effect 60 days after passage by the Common Council, signed by the Council President, attested by the Clerk Treasurer, and signed by the Mayor.
Thank you. General Ordinance Number 10, 2014 is up for third and final approval. This time I ask for a motion to approve.
I'll make said motion.
Second?
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Please register your vote. These fees were recommended by the people who sit on the Board of Zoning Appeals, and the last increase in these fees was back in the mid-1970s. So we are just updating the ordinances. Some of these in the city, if you go through the city of Indianapolis, they're almost $2,000. So we are still far below our neighbors to the north, but I think over time we'll catch back up. But this is good legislation by this council. General Ordinance Number 11, 2014 is up for third and final reading this evening, and I'll ask the clerk to read the ordinance into the record, please.
General Ordinance Number 11, 2014 is an ordinance that amends Chapter 77 of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Beech Grove pursuant to through streets and stop streets. Whereas citizens who live in the area of 7th and Cleveland are concerned about vehicles speeding south on 7th from Bethel Avenue without stopping, and whereas currently traffic stops on Cleveland but does not stop on 7th, and whereas children regularly play in this area may be at risk because of the high traffic volume. Now therefore be it ordained that the Common Council desires to amend the traffic pattern by changing the intersection of 7th Avenue and Cleveland to a three-way stop. Now therefore be it further ordained that the Common Council desires the following amendment be made. Chapter 77, Schedule 2, through streets and stop streets. Add the following: intersection, 7th and Cleveland. Controlled description, three-way stop southbound on 7th, eastbound and westbound Cleveland. Now therefore be it ordained that the common council desires to amend chapter 77 of the Code of Ordinances for the city of Beech Grove. Now therefore be it further ordained that this ordinance shall only apply to the above mentioned intersection and shall not affect any other traffic flow. Now therefore be it further ordained that this ordinance shall go into effect 60 days after passage by the common council, signed by the council president, and tested by the clerk treasurer, and signed by the mayor.
Thank you, Clerk. General Ordinance number 11, 2014 is up for third and final reading. I'll ask for a motion to approve.
I make motion to approve General Ordinance number 11.
And a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign.
No.
Please register your vote. If you can visualize people coming off Bethel Avenue, you can't go, if you go up to Fifth Street, you have to stop. And Sixth Street is one-way north, so most people come over to Main Street that are on Bethel up Seventh Avenue. So when they turn on Seventh, they have a running start, and they don't stop until they get to Buffalo. So the people that live in that area have asked that we do something to slow the traffic down in that area. So this is possibly one solution. General Ordinance number 12, 2014 is up for third and final reading this evening. This time I'll ask the clerk to read the ordinance into the record, please.
General Ordinance number 12, 2014 is the ordinance that amends chapter 77 of the Code of Ordinances for the city of Beech Grove pursuant to through streets and stop streets. Whereas within the last 6 months, a traffic accident resulting in the loss of life occurred at this intersection, and whereas within the last year, another serious accident occurred resulting in property damage to at least one parked vehicle on Main Street, and whereas over 90 citizens residing close to this intersection have come together and signed a petition to ask the city convert the intersection of Tyson and Main Street to a four-way stop for their personal safety and to slow down the vehicular traffic. Now therefore be it ordained that the common council desires to amend the traffic pattern by changing the intersection of Tyson and Main from a two-way stop to a four-way stop. Now therefore be it further ordained that the common council desires the following amendment be made. Chapter 7, Schedule 2, through streets and stop streets. 3, all streets from 17th Street west. Amend the following: intersection Tyson and Main, controlled description from two-way stop northbound and southbound Tyson. Tyson and Main to four-way stop westbound and eastbound Main Street, northbound and southbound Tyson. Now therefore be it ordained that the common council desires to amend chapter 77 of the Code of Ordinances for the city of Beech Grove. Now therefore be it further ordained that this ordinance shall only apply to the above mentioned intersection and shall not affect any other traffic flow. Now therefore be it further ordained that this ordinance shall go into effect 60 days after passage by the common council, signed by the council president, attested by the clerk treasurer, and signed by the mayor.
Thank you, Clerk. General Ordinance number 12, 2014 is up for third and final reading. I'll ask for a motion to approve.
I'll move to approve ordinance number 12.
I'll second that.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Please register your vote. General ordinance number 13, 2014 is up for second reading this evening. General ordinance number 13, 2014 is an ordinance that amends the ambulance fees for out-of-city responses. We are going to adjust them upward to stay in tune with the city of Indianapolis. So at this time, I'll ask for a motion to waive the rules to read by title only.
I'll make that motion.
Second it.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. I'll ask the clerk to read general ordinance number 13 by title only, please.
General ordinance number 13, 2014 is an ordinance that amends chapter 34, section 34.15B of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Beech Grove, Indiana pursuant to ambulance responses outside the corporate city limits of the City of Beech Grove.
Thank you. General ordinance number 13, 2014 is up for second reading. I'll ask for a motion to approve.
I'll make said motion.
In a second.
Kathy?
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. We will hear it on third and final reading at the October 6th meeting. Thank you. General ordinance number 14, 2014 is an ordinance that amends the employee behavior section of the city manual. And this time I'll ask for a motion to waive the rules to read by title only.
I'll make said motion.
I'll second it.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, the same sign. I'll ask the clerk to read the general ordinance number 14 by title only, please.
General ordinance number 14, 2014 is an ordinance that amends the City of Beech Grove Personnel Manual, Article 14 concerning employee behavior.
Thank you. General ordinance number 14, 2014 is up for second reading. I'll ask for a motion to approve.
I'll make said motion.
And a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. We will hear this ordinance on third and final reading at the October 6th meeting. Thank you. General ordinance number 15, 2014 is up for second reading this evening. This ordinance deals with employees who are in the military who are going on leave for training. And I know that Counselor Davidson had some concerns about it or questions about it. And Craig, you might want to address what his thoughts were on it.
Sure, there are a couple things. Number one, he raised the 30-day notice period. I think we can cure that by just saying 30 days or as soon as possible. The other thing is, he raised an issue about whether it was lawful to require the employee to provide a copy of their orders. What I did is I went, the Indiana General Assembly passed the Indiana Family Military Leave Act a few years ago, which gives family members time off work in preparation for a family member going on a military leave. And it has that identical language that our ordinance has as far as providing a copy of their orders to a department head. So I don't want to speak for Anthony. We were going to have another discussion about this before tonight's meeting. So my recommendation would be just go ahead and pass it as is, and then we can make any appropriate amendments that he may want to make or raise on third reading. But I think the language about providing copies of orders is lawful. But again, I don't want to speak for Anthony. It's something we can probably address on third reading.
All right. Thank you. General ordinance number 15, 2014 is up for second reading this evening. I'll ask the clerk to read the ordinance into the record, please.
Title or
The complete one.
Okay. General ordinance number 15, 2014 is an ordinance that amends Article 10 of the City of Beech Grove Personnel Manual concerning military leave. Whereas the City of Beech Grove does hire veterans and supports employees who are in the National Guard or Military Reserve And whereas employees given direct orders to report shall report as such with the support of the city of Beech Grove. And whereas the city feels it is important to maintain benefits to those who proudly serve while under the scope of employment with the city of Beech Grove. Now therefore be it ordained that the Common Council desires to amend Article 10 of the City of Beech Grove Personnel Manual concerning military leave. Now therefore be it further ordained that the Common Council desires that the following amendment be included. Section 6, military leave. Delete in its entirety, replace with the following. Section 6, military leave. Employees called by any branch of the Armed Forces of the United States shall, when ordered to active service, be entitled to a leave of absence for such a period of time that the member serves in such capacity until discharge therefrom. Permanent full-time employees who serve in the military reserve or National Guard shall make every attempt to advise their respective department head of their upcoming annual 2-week training obligation and monthly weekend drills prior to the end of January so that it may be documented for planning. Time off for military and drill weekend or trainings ordered by the military will not be paid by the city of Beech Grove. Military weekend or training drills that fall on normally scheduled shifts will be excused and the individual's employee's attendance record shall reflect such action. Employees may request time off for travel and or rest periods up to 8 hours before or after a drill weekend. This time is unpaid and must be recorded in the respective employee's attendance record. Employees cannot use sick time for coverage. Military orders for 2-week camps or deployments will be excused at the request of the employee. The city of Beech Grove shall not pay the employee for this expense. Arrangements shall be made at least 30 days in advance with the respective department head, and a copy of such orders must be submitted. Long-term deployments will be excused but are not paid. Employees shall not lose any benefits or seniority as a result of deployment. Nothing in this ordinance shall be contradictory to any federal or state concerning protected leave for employees who serve in the National Guard or Military Reserve. Therefore, be it ordained that the Common Council desires that Article 10 of the City of Beech Grove Personnel Manual be amended as such. Therefore, be it further ordained that this ordinance only applies to Article 10 of the City of Beech Grove Personnel Manual. Therefore, be it further ordained that this ordinance shall go into effect 60 days after passage by the Common Council, signed by the Council President, attested by the Clerk Treasurer, and signed by the Mayor.
Thank you, Dan. General Orders number 15, 2014 is up for second reading only this evening. I'll ask for a motion to approve.
I'd like to amend. Second page, second paragraph, currently reads, arrangements shall be made at least 30 days in advance with the respective department head. I'd like it to change to be read, arrangements shall be made at least 30 days if possible in advance or as soon as possible with respective department head. Just add the same sentence that Craig had just mentioned.
Any other amendment, John?
That's all I have.
Okay. Amendment on the floor, I ask for a second.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Now we'll hear General Ordinance number 15, 2014 on second reading only with the amendment. I'll ask for a motion to approve.
I'll make said motion as amended.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Thank you. We will hear it on third and final reading at the October 6th meeting. Thank you. The additional appropriation for the police department is General Ordinance number 16, and it is up for second and third reading this evening. And at this time, I will ask the clerk to read the additional appropriation ordinance in its entirety.
Additional appropriation ordinance where it has been determined that it is now necessary to appropriate more money than was appropriated in the annual budget Now therefore, Section 1, be it ordained by the Beech Grove City Council, Beech Grove Civil City, Marion County, that for the expenses of the taxing unit, the following additional sums of money are hereby appropriated, transferred, or reduced out of the funds named and for the purpose specified, subject to the laws governing the same. Law Enforcement Continuing Education Fund. Other services and charges, $5,000, amount appropriated $5,000. Total LECE fund, $5,000, amount appropriated $5,000.
Thank you, Dan. I'll ask for a motion to approve the additional appropriation ordinance for the police department on second reading.
I'll make said motion.
And I'll
Second.
second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. General ordinance number 16, the additional appropriation ordinance for the police department is up for third and final reading this evening. This time I will ask the clerk to read the additional appropriation ordinance into the record, please.
Additional appropriation ordinance, whereas it has been determined that is now necessary to appropriate more money than was appropriated in the annual budget. Now therefore, Section 1, be it ordained by the Beech Grove City Council, Beech Grove Civil City, Marion County, Indiana, that for the expenses of the taxing unit, the following additional sums of money are hereby appropriated, transferred, or reduced out of the funds named and for the purpose specified, subject to the laws governing the same. Amount requested for other services and charges, $5,000. Amount appropriated, $5,000. Total LECE fund, $5,000. Amount appropriated, $5,000.
Thank you. General ordinance number 16, 2014 is up for third and final reading. This time I'll ask for a motion to approve.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Please register your vote. That amount that clerk read into the record, that's going to be adjusted in the 2015 budget. If you could just talk about that very briefly.
The last 2 years, I think we've done 14,000, and each time we've had to increase by about $5,000 and do an additional appropriation. There's money in this fund, so this next year it'll be raised to 25,000, so we shouldn't have to go through this next year.
That concludes unfinished business for this evening. Well done, council. We'll move on to new business. At this time, we'll hear a interlocal agreement with the city court and the town of Homecroft. I'll defer to legal counsel for direction, please.
Sure. Last month, the chief of the Homecroft Police Department came to speak to the court about doing their ordinance violations in the Beech Grove City Court. Judge and I met with their chief a couple weeks ago, had a real good conversation. I put together the interlocal agreement that you have before you, and actually Homecroft's town council has approved it as of last Tuesday. So essentially, if this is approved, let's see, we've got the city of Southport, city of Lawrence, town of Claremont, town of Speedway, and town of Homecroft will now do their ordinance violations in our city court. So good news.
Any comment from the judge?
No, this is obviously a good thing for both the towns and the cities, because essentially if a lot of times what the towns and cities would do is they would send their cases down to court 13, and a lot of times the officers couldn't get down there for court dates because of their schedules. This way, the money stays in the city. Marion County doesn't get a cut of it. So in other words, for instance, the city of Southport, it's advantageous for them to do it here because that money stays in the city, and then the way we make money is because we assess court costs. So it's a win-win situation for our city, and then one of these other municipalities that want to do their ordinance violations.
Thank you, Craig. Floor is open for questions or comments.
think it's fantastic. But I've been a big proponent of this the whole time, so
I thought we already had home crofts, but
Southport.
I'm glad we do now, or will, perhaps.
At this time, I'll ask the clerk to read the interlocal agreement into the record, please.
An interlocal agreement between the town of Homecroft, Indiana, and the city of Beech Grove, Indiana. Whereas the city of Beech Grove, Indiana, Beech Grove, and the town of Homecroft, Indiana, Homecroft, are municipal corporation under the laws of the state of Indiana. And whereas both units of government maintain police departments to enforce the duly enacted ordinance to benefit the citizens of their respective jurisdictions. And whereas Beech Grove maintains a city court that has jurisdiction over infractions and ordinance violations. And whereas Homecroft issues citations for infractions and ordinance violations, but does not have a town court within its jurisdiction. And whereas Beech Grove and Homecroft are located in the same judicial circuit. And whereas Indiana Code 33-35-1-6 allows a city or town that has not established a court to enter into an interlocal agreement under Indiana Code 36-1-7 with a city or town that has established a court and is located in the same judicial circuit. And whereas Beech Grove and Homecroft are desirous of entering into an agreement pursuant to Indiana Code 36-1-7, whereby the Homecroft ordinance violations can be filed, processed, and adjudicated through the Beech Grove Court, City Court. Now therefore be it resolved that the Beech Grove and Homecroft acting by and through their common council and town council respectively jointly agree to the following terms. 1. Homecroft shall file ordinance violations and infractions of the Homecroft Municipal Code in the city court for adjudication. These violations shall include but not limited to traffic, zoning, and permit violations written on Homecroft ordinances. 2. Beech Grove shall be responsible for the prosecution of all Homecroft filings and the acceptance of any prosecutorial deferrals. Prosecution, plea, and deferral determination shall be administered by the Beech Grove City Attorney, acting and hereby designated the prosecuting attorney on behalf of the Homecroft and the prosecutor unless otherwise designated in writing by Homecroft. 3. Beech Grove shall be responsible for the docketing and collection of all court costs and fines assessed. The distribution of costs shall be allocated as in the normal course of business. 4. Beech Grove shall collect and distribute fines and costs per Indiana Code 33-37-4-2. 5. Homecroft shall initiate a deferral program with the city court and shall be responsible for all costs associated with setting up of said program. The terms of the program shall be identical to the terms in place for the Beech Grove deferral program. It is the intention of the parties that the program in place will be identical as to the application and administration of the program by the city court staff. 6. It is the agreement between the parties that the city court shall distribute the funds available for the program as follows. 1. Court costs to Beech Grove or as otherwise specified by statute. 2. Police training fund to Homecroft. 3. Fines and forfeitures to Homecroft. All other fees associated with the program shall be distributed according to Indiana Code 34-28-5-1. All fees shall be distributed by the 10th day of the month following the month of receipt unless otherwise agreed to in writing. Number 7, each party shall execute any and all documents and allocate the necessary personnel to carry out the terms of this agreement. Homecroft and Beech Grove shall continue to cooperate to approve plans and procedures for implementation of the use of the City Court of Beech Grove for Homecroft ordinance violations. In the event there is a dispute concerning said plans, the dispute shall be discussed by a dispute resolution committee consisting of 1 member of the city's common council, the mayor of the city, 1 member of the town council, and the executive of the town. Number 8, in the event there is an additional dispute concerning this agreement that cannot be resolved by the dispute resolution committee, the parties agree to submit the issue to mediation pursuant to the Indiana rules of alternative dispute resolution prior to initiating litigation. 9, either party to this interlocal agreement may terminate the agreement upon 90 days written notice to the other party. The termination letter shall be served upon the mayor of the city or the president of the town council and shall be sent by certified U.S. mail.
Thank you, Dan. Any other comments or questions from council members?
Sure.
If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve the interlocal agreement between the town of Homecroft, Indiana, and the city of Beech Grove, Indiana.
I'll make said motion.
I'll second it.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Please register your vote.
That's right.
General Ordinance Number 18, 2014 is up for first reading only this evening. And at this time, I will ask the clerk to read the ordinance into the record, please.
General Ordinance Number 18, 2014 is an ordinance that amends Chapter 96 of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Beech Grove pursuant to heavy items. Whereas in the past, the city picked up appliances left out in the trash for disposal, and whereas the cost to dispose of heavy items collected by Public Works employees continue to rise, and whereas some heavy items have been found to carry coolant gases which are dangerous for employees to handle, and whereas trash pickers or other scavengers generally collect these items prior to the arrival of Public Works employees. Now therefore be it ordained that the Common Council desires to amend Chapter 96, Section 96.05 of the Code of Ordinances. Now therefore be it further ordained that the Common Council desires that the following amendments be included as follows. Section 96.04 rates for collection of heavy items. Delete in its entirety and replace with the following. Section 96.04 collection of heavy appliances and items. The following items will not be picked up by employees of the Department of Public Works or any authorized agent on behalf of the City of Beech Grove. Stoves, refrigerators, freezers, microwave ovens, washers, dryers, dishwashers, water heaters, furnaces, outdoor grills, air conditioning units, dehumidifiers, and any other appliance deemed hazardous or dangerous by the director of the department. Section 96.06, exception for appliance containing freon gases. Delete in its entirety and replace with the following. Section 96.06, freon and other gases and liquids. Notwithstanding 96.04 or any other provision, employees of the Department of Public Works shall not handle any object, container, or appliance that could or does contain a combustible liquid, combustible gas, flammable gas, or flammable liquid. Citizens who place these items out for disposal shall be informed that a licensed private technician or company must dispose of these items. The city cannot dispose of these items for them. Now therefore be it ordained that the Common Council desires to amend the Code of Ordinances pursuant to this matter. Now therefore be it further ordained that this ordinance only applies to the above listed ordinance. Now therefore be it further ordained that this ordinance shall go into effect 60 days after passage by the Common Council, signed by the Council President, attested by the Clerk Treasurer, and signed by the Mayor.
Thank you, Dan. When we distributed this ordinance to you, we had the copy of the current ordinance. And that ordinance was enacted in 1967. So we are updating these ordinances and bringing them up to the practice that we currently do concerning these objects. And before I open the floor to questions and comments by council members, if our DPW director could come up and give us some insight on what's out there, what these guys pick up and what they don't pick up, and why we should change this.
Yeah, I mean, excuse me, a lot of these are items that we haven't picked up in the past. We're just cleaning up a lot of the language and some of the, there were a long list of $3 charges for things. Like the mayor mentioned, it was written in '67, so something that just needed to be updated. Some of these things are on the prohibited item list with Covanta, which is where a majority of our trash goes. Things that they don't want mixed in with the trash, that they can actually reject our load if they see it. And most items, to be honest with you, we never see these things anymore. The scrappers run the routes before we do. I'll have people call me and say, can I set out a water heater? And I'll tell them, go ahead and set it out, because it won't be there when we get there. And it never is. So, with the rising cost that these guys can get for the metal, they're usually on it pretty quick. But I'd be happy to answer any questions if you guys have anything in particular you see that you don't like.
There's nothing I don't like in there, but I was going to play the devil's advocate and ask you just that. Do people have to call and ask you that? Is it okay to set it out?
They don't
Or-
have to. I mean, a lot of people will, just out of courtesy. Or some people will call and say, hey, is this something that I can set out? And then we have an opportunity to educate them. If it's something like a refrigerator or something that's had Freon, we can't. And that has to be handled by someone that's licensed. But most people are pretty courteous about calling, and if there's any doubt at all, they'll call first.
Okay, because I know they'll be asking me.
Yeah.
Is that okay? So I'll just
Sure.
come to call you first. All right. Thank you.
And I have a question, not about appliances, but just a clarification in general, because I get this question all the time, so I want it to be made public by you, because you're, about heavy trash pickup in general.
Mhm.
Is there, or is there not a scheduled heavy trash monthly, or do they have to call if they have heavy trash?
And I think we've got an ordinance coming up here in 2 from now that's going to discuss it, but, and I get into it maybe more then, but we typically, on your trash day, collect that, and then it'll discuss the fees and kind of how we go about determining what we charge, and usually we try to make contact with the homeowner prior. So I'll kind of wait to get into all that later.
That's fine, I wanted to bring it up and
Right.
have it out.
So,
Thank you.
Yep,
Thanks, Brad.
no problem.
Any other questions for the director? If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve General Ordinance Number 18, 2014 on first reading only.
I'll make said motion.
Okay.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. We will hear it on second reading only on October the 6th. Thank you.
I did have one question for Brad. I forgot to ask him. You don't have to come up here, but were you even born in 1967?
Neither was I.
Oh, boy, your nose. I won't speak.
All
Go
right.
ahead, sir.
Council. General Ordinance Number 19, 2014 is up for first reading only this evening. General Ordinance 19 is the additional appropriation ordinance for the police pension. And at this time, I will ask the clerk to read it into the record, please.
Additional appropriation ordinance, where it has been determined that it is now necessary to appropriate more money than was appropriated in the annual budget. Now therefore, Section 1, be it ordained by the Beech Grove City Council of Beech Grove Civil City, Marion County, that for the expenses of the taxing unit, the following additional sums of money are hereby appropriated, transferred, or reduced out of the funds named and for the purpose specified, subject to the laws governing the same. Amount requested: Police Pension Fund Personal Services, $47,000. Amount appropriated, $47,000. Total Police Pension Fund, $47,000. Amount appropriated, $47,000.
Thank you. The floor is open for questions or comments. If there are none, I'll ask for a motion to approve on first reading only, please.
I'll make said motion.
And I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. You will hear it on second and third reading at the October 6th meeting. Thank you. General Ordinance number 22, 2014 is up for first reading only this evening, and at this time, I will ask the clerk to read it into the record, please.
General Ordinance number 22, 2014 is an ordinance that amends Chapter 77 of the City of Beech Grove Code of Ordinances concerning speed limits in the Carrington and Park Meadow subdivisions in the City of Beech Grove. Whereas newer subdivisions have not been updated in the Code of Ordinances pursuant to speed limits, and whereas issuing traffic citations may be compromised as a result of not being approved by the legislative body, and whereas citizens who live and travel these areas should be informed as to what the speed limit is and to have it posted in these areas. Now therefore be it ordained that the Common Council of the City of Beech Grove desires to amend Chapter 77 of the Code of Ordinances pursuant to speed limits. Now therefore be it further ordained that the following amendment be added to Chapter 77, Schedule 4, Speed Limits, A, Schedule. Schedule 4, Speed Limits, A, Schedule. 2, motor vehicle speed on the following streets shall be limited to no faster than 20 miles per hour. Please add the following. Location: Rotherham Lane, Rotherham Circle, Valburn Court, Clawson Lane, Charnwood Parkway, Timbrook Lane, Timbrook Circle, Middleham Lane, Middleham Circle, Danver Lane, Park Meadow Drive, Park Meadow Way, and Park Meadow Court. Now therefore be it ordained that the Common Council desires to amend Chapter 77 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Beech Grove. Now therefore be it further ordained that this ordinance only applies to the above-mentioned chapter of the Code of Ordinances. Now therefore be it further ordained that this ordinance shall go into effect 60 days after passage by the Common Council, signed by the Council President, attested by the Clerk Treasurer, and signed by the Mayor.
Thank you, Dan. I'll defer to council for legal opinion, please.
Sure, Mayor. A few weeks ago, it was brought to Councilor Davidson's attention that there are no, in our ordinances, there's nothing that governs the newer subdivisions in our community. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and Chief can chime in, I think there's a catch-all provision that says if something's not posted, it's 20 miles per hour. In any event, this kind of clears it up and sets some sort of expectation as far as what the speed limit is in these neighborhoods. So.
Thank you. Floor is open for questions or comments.
Is 20 mile an hour is that the correct speed that we need to have through a residential area? You got 25 through the school zones, but we're gonna slow it down even more through this neighborhood. My truck idles faster than 20 miles an hour. Is it because it's a residential area and we need to go with 20 miles an hour? Or was this just fell under the catch-all of 20 miles an hour?
Chief, did you want to comment on this?
I mean, I don't live in these areas, so I don't care. And I don't like anybody that lives in those areas. So I need to drive back there.
I think it's a good question. 20 miles an hour is in Main Street in the business district, 20 on Grovewood. And the road curves, you're talking Charnwood and some of the other streets that sometimes your vision isn't as good. I wouldn't see a problem with 20 miles an hour. The 25 on school zones are probably the busier roads, 9th and Albany, some of those.
You believe 20 miles an hour is appropriate?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you.
Is that what is posted right now? Because there are signs posted on Rotherham and Danver. I couldn't tell you what they are. I go slow, but I don't know if it's 20 or 25. Do you recall?
I don't know. Some of the streets are not posted, I do know that.
Okay. What's off of 9th Street?
Charnwood.
Charnwood, yes.
And Rotherham.
And Rotherham, yeah. I think right as you go in both editions. but
Both
I
of
don't
those
know.
are posted, yes.
Okay. I couldn't remember. Thank you.
So when they're not posted, is it 20?
I asked the police, they said 30 in the residential.
You have to fall back to what the ordinance says, and I think the ordinance says it's 20 if it's not posted. And some of them also go back to what the state law says. But if if city ordinance says 20, that's what it is, even if it's not posted.
30 is fast through there anyway,
Yes.
because of all the curves, my opinion.
Are we gonna change the signs if they're already posted, or do we want to amend this to say unless already posted?
I would recommend we pass it on first reading and take a look at it on second reading again. Any other questions or comments from council members?
No, sir.
I ask for a motion to approve general ordinance number 22,
Thanks, Chief.
2014 on first reading only.
I'll make said motion.
I'll second it.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. We will hear this on second reading only at the October 6th meeting. Thank you. Final new ordinance this evening is general ordinance number 23, 2014. And at this time, I will ask the clerk to read it into the record, please.
General ordinance number 23, 2014 is an ordinance that amends chapter 96 of the Code of Ordinances for the city of Beech Grove pursuant to charges for heavy collections. Whereas citizens sometimes set more disposable items out for pickup than normal, and whereas citizens during the year often conduct major cleanings and accumulate more trash than normal, and whereas the cost to dispose of the trash continues to rise, and whereas often citizens remove branches and limbs from trees in their respective yard and place them with the trash for disposal, now therefore be it ordained that the common council desires to amend chapter 96 of the Code of Ordinances for heavy trash and brush pickup. Now therefore be it further ordained that the common council desires that this amendment be made. 96.25 charges for special collections, delete in its entirety and replace with the following. 96.25 charges for heavy trash pickup and brush removal. Fees for the collection of heavy trash and brush are hereby affixed and established by the common council according to the following guidelines. A, heavy trash. Number one, minimum charge is $25. The director of the Department of Public Works has the authority to increase the charge based on what has been placed out for pickup, the amount of time to pick up, quantity of trash, and the weight of the trash placed out for disposals are factors in determining the appropriate charge. Number two, maximum charge of $500. The director of the Department of Public Works shall not exceed this amount for the charge to remove heavy trash. 3, the resident or property owner shall agree to the preset amount prior to any heavy trash being removed. 4, upon agreement of the said price, the heavy trash will be removed and the service charge will be placed on the next available Beech Grove Sewage Works. Number 5, the date and time of heavy trash pickup will be at the convenience of the Department of Public Works. Number 6, the director of the Department of Public Works has the authority to refuse to pick up heavy trash based on health, environmental, or other conditions presented. B, brush. Number 1, minimum charge is $25. The director of the Department of Public Works has the authority to increase that charge based on the amount of brush placed out for disposal, the amount of time to either chip or remove, including using a payloader. All factor is on the charge. Number 2, maximum charge is $800. The director of Public Works shall not exceed this amount for the charge to remove brush. 3, the resident or property owner shall agree to the preset amount prior to any brush being removed. Number 4, upon agreement, the brush will be removed and the agreed set of price agreed to will be placed on the next available Beech Grove Sewer Works bill. Number 5, the date and time for brush removal will be at the convenience of the Department of Public Works. 6, the director of the Department of Public Works has the discretion to waive any and all fees for the removal of brush due to storms, accidents, or any other acts of nature. 7, the director of the Department of Public Works has the discretion not to pick up brush based on the conditions presented at time of inspection. Now therefore be it ordained that the Common Council desires to amend Chapter 96 of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Beech Grove. Now therefore be it further ordained that this ordinance only applies to the above mentioned section. Now therefore be it further ordained that this ordinance shall go into effect 60 days after passage by the Common Council, signed by the Council President, attested by the Clerk Treasurer, and signed by the Mayor.
Thank you, Dan. Before I open it up for questions or comments, Brad, can you reapproach the podium and address us on this ordinance, please?
Well, this really just kind of closely mirrors what we're currently doing, and I know you asked about that, but yeah, we coordinate heavy trash with your normal trash pickup, and most of the time we don't have any fees involved for anybody. But when my guys come across a trash pile that's over and above what we would typically get, they'll get a hold of me or a street superintendent. We'll go look at it, and then we'll go from there. Usually we try to make contact with the homeowner because we always, and I've not had any problems yet with anybody being, I guess, not agreeable to what we usually work out. But yeah, a lot of times, I think how it really kind of got started was with rentals. A lot of times I was experiencing people would leave and they would leave all their stuff, which I didn't know this happened, but they would just leave a house full of items. And so the landlord would just clean it all out and put it at the curb. And it got to where I felt like, well, we can't pick this up and charge this guy nothing, just like I would the average resident. It's not fair. So we got to a situation where we started talking about we're going to have a way to charge these people if they're going to do this. And most of them are happy to pay to get rid of it. I mean, they know it's a business and they understand that that's kind of built into what they're doing. And they're not unaware of the cost of getting rid of trash, and it gets more expensive each year. So it was just a burden on the city. I didn't think it was a fair burden for us to bear. So this just gives us the ability to charge in situations like that. But
Brad, what is the highest that we've charged
for trash or brush?
for heavy trash only?
I'd say around 400 probably, and they were happy to pay it. And yeah, you were probably talking multiple rooms of stuff. Easier for them because they don't have to haul it to a dump or handle it twice. So, and we never charge anyone without their awareness and their agreement to the charge, and they always have the option to, dispose of it another way. So.
Now, you've been pretty adamant about this, and it's not in the ordinance. And I have instructed you not to allow these people, or our people, to pick up furniture that is soiled or have body fluids on it or has bed bugs. Can you go into those procedures?
Yeah, I mean, occasionally, we have situations, unfortunately, where someone passes away in a home and it's maybe on a piece of furniture where, it's been contaminated at that point. It's kind of a biohazard situation. Or we've had neighbors come out and tell our guys, hey, the couch they put out has bed bugs. And sometimes we'll even have the people validate that it does. Well, my guys obviously are a little weird about that, so they're not wanting to touch it either.
Do we have to talk about that?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, so, it becomes an issue where I've generally told the homeowner, you've got to get rid of that another way. I'm not going to force my guys to go pick that up. Once I've been made aware of that, I don't think that's fair. I wouldn't want to do it. So that's why we incorporated that into this ordinance. That way it gives us the flexibility. If we become aware of something like that, we have the ability to tell the owner, you're going to have to find another way to dispose of that chair or couch or whatever it is.
And how about the fees that we have to pay to get rid of this?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this trash is going into dumpsters, which we pay raise, it's more costly to get rid of. Heavy trash, a lot of times it's $100 to haul the dumpster, and then you're paying $30 per ton. So that gets pretty expensive, and then you've got our manpower involved, and if we've got to get equipment involved. So it can get expensive fairly quick, but we do try to be on the low side. We try to work with people, and like I said, I have yet to have anybody get irate or say that they just can't understand. Most people are really aware of what they're trying to get rid of, and they're happy to pay to have it gone.
How about brush? And I know it's a tough fight.
Yeah, we kind of fought that for years, where contractors would come in, cut down a large tree, big silver maple or something, and then tell the homeowner, the city will get it. And then we're stuck, getting rid of, a curb line full of brush, and it kind of gets back to the same philosophy as the trash. It's not fair to the average person that just puts out a few limbs every week or every couple weeks. So, you know, we had the option of, I guess the other option is just saying we won't get it, but it's nice to be able to at least offer that service to the people and say, yeah, we're going to get it, but it is going to cost us more to get rid of it, so you're going to have to pay a little more. And a lot of times they're happy, or a lot of times they'll call the contractor back and say, you need to get rid of this. You know, you cut the tree down, you gave me a price, and the city doesn't do this for free, so that's been helpful to us as well.
What is the largest fee that we've charged?
I think last year I quoted somebody $750, and it was, you can't believe how much brush it was. I mean, it was the whole yard, and it would have taken us it may have taken us 2 days to get it all picked up. So yeah, I mean, it can get up into the hundreds of dollars because, you know, you cut down a major tree and you stick it all out there. It's a lot of work for us, and it cost us quite a bit to get it hauled out from our place.
And I went with them to where, and we go out to these big piles, and you look, and the property that it's in front of doesn't have any trees, or they haven't been trimmed, so they're coming in, they're bringing it into Beech Grove. And
Yeah, for years, when we didn't charge, then we kind of got notorious for people knowing, we'll take it to Beech Grove. Or people had rentals somewhere else, they would cut the brush there and bring it into our town, because they knew they could just get it picked up for nothing. So that's cut down on that immensely.
With respect to that, there is, in my understanding, like with the storms like we just had, that you do, like, can someone call and say, I've got this huge limb in my front yard or my backyard?
Yeah.
Would you come help with that, or do they need to get it out to?
When we have weather events, it kind of changes things. We'll usually waive fees, try to get rid of brush for people. We really try to go kind of above and beyond as far as what we'll do to help them. We have a gentleman on South Fourth that in the back, it came out of a creek. So we're actually coming in on the school's property with the chipper as he pulls it out and collecting it for him instead of the street. So we try to work with people, especially in those situations, because we know a storm is not something you can prepare for. They didn't cut the tree down by choice. So generally, we'll work with people. I mean, a lot of times we try not to go, you know, on private property up in their yard if we can avoid it.
Unless you've been asked.
Yeah, but if we can't and they need our help, generally we'll try to work with people.
Thank you.
So the 500 maximum and the 800 is, in your opinion, is not unreasonable?
No, it's not unreasonable. No, I've seen things in that ballpark.
Any other questions or comments for the director?
I do have a question. What would your course of action be should you see mattress and springs thrown down on Bethel Avenue, say between 5th and,
Just for an example.
yeah, between Bethel, on Bethel between 5th and, say, 11th Street? And I've seen them in the middle of the road. Would you call Indianapolis to get rid of that, since it's kind of on, especially if it's on the other side of the road? And I've even seen them in the ditches down there.
Yeah.
How would you handle that?
I always involve Indianapolis if I can. So if there's a gray area.
Okay.
But, you know, at the risk of us not wanting to sit there and make the area look trashy, sometimes if we have to, we'll get it. I'm obviously going to try, you know, but if it becomes something where they're not responding, and typically we'll get, and a lot of times we involve Derek in compliance. I mean, shockingly, we've had times where we found things and we've been able to trace it back to, Derek's done a really nice job in compliance, and he, even using like GIS where he's found things that, I know I saw that in somebody's yard, you know, and then they find it dumped somewhere. So, you know, sometimes you have that to your disposal, but then sometimes you just have to pick it up and get rid of it.
Because it's cleaned up a lot down there, and I just wondered. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you very much. Kind of off the beaten path, but I appreciate it.
Any other questions for Brad? Thank you, Brad.
I wasn't born in '67, but I am 40. I'm not young. I did turn 40 this year. So.
If there's no other questions or comments, I'll ask for a motion to approve General Ordinance Number 23, 2014 on first reading only.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. We will hear it on second reading only at the October 6th meeting. That concludes new business. Time for council comments, beginning on my far right. Dave?
Thank you for coming out tonight, and have a good week.
I did my plug for the Beech Grove Sports. I'll be nice this evening. That's it.
Yeah, thank everyone for coming. Most of them have left, I see. I do want to say one thing. Some council members took an ALS challenge, and I think sometimes the ALS challenge is getting kind of out of hand with people that don't take it seriously. And personally, I had a friend that died of that. He was a longtime Beech Grove resident. And it's kind of funny, and the lady whose husband passed, they went to a leading doctor at IU Health. His name, and it's a funny pronounced name, but it's like Pacuza or Pacuzia, and he's the leading neurologist at IU Health, and he has written many subjects on neurological diseases. And in his findings, now I haven't looked, but I did see where he has written all these neurological books. In his findings, if you're ready for this, he found that Beech Grove per capita was the number 2 city in the world to have people die of ALS per capita. Guam, in his findings, were number 1. And I looked at that, and since my friend died in December last year, 2 other people I know in Beech Grove died from ALS. I found out that a long time ago I was employed by Mary's husband, and we used to work on Beech Grove police cars. We'd service them at Stewart's Amoco. One of the officers was named Dan Farnsworth, right? I didn't realize Dan died of ALS. And so since this, I've really gotten looking at this, and I found it very alarming if what this guy says is true, that Beech Grove in the world is the number 2 per capita. And it kind of it's nothing I'd want to brag about, but it is something we should look at. And so if you do the LS challenge, I guess do it. I see so many of them on Facebook, and I even had a friend that did it, and it just wasn't done in the right light. So do it like you know it and you mean it, and do it for the respect of the people that do have ALS. That's all I got to say.
All right, Ed?
Well, thank you, Dave, because I had a friend died with that, and it's not pleasant. But since my voice is gone, thanks for everyone coming.
Thank you to everybody who came. Thank you to the people who've already left. I'm not sure if the people regarding the Tyson Court stop sign really understood that it passed. I hope they did. Thank you so much to Brad Merriweather and his crew for all of their effort with all of this rain and all of these storms. It seemed like it's never ending. I have no idea what it's doing out there right now, so that is a thankless job, and they never give up, and I appreciate that. There seems to be a lot of sirens recently, a lot of them's fire department, a lot of them's police department. Thanks to all you guys who go unnoticed, and again, a thankless job. I appreciate you for keeping all of us safe while we all sleep, and then just appreciate it so much. Thank you to everybody who support all of us up here. We do the best that we can, and who support each other, and that's it. Kathy?
I can't really say much more than that. I just want everyone to know, I don't know why I'm feeling like that, but I don't know, these last few weeks, I've just felt really blessed and lucky and happy to live in Beech Grove. And I just wanted to share that with everybody, because I'm really proud to be a Beech Grove resident and represent on the council. And I think we have a really good city, and I see good days ahead. And it's just been in me lately, so I'm proud of it, and I've been announcing it to everybody. So whatever it is, help me, support me, and share it with everybody else. Feel that, because it's a good thing.
Thanks, Ken. Council, we meet again next Monday, the 8th of September at 7 p.m., and that will be the first reading of the budget for next year, along with the salary ordinance and the library budget. So please bring the materials with you that Dan submitted this evening. And we will go from there, and my final thought is, well done tonight. You did some good work this evening, and we'll carry it on to the next meeting. So I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
Meeting's adjourned at 8:25.